Hi class, how are we doing today? We're going to do some math review with telling time. So that means we're going to need your clock, either your paper plate clock or whatever other clock you've been using. You're going to need your whiteboard and a marker. If you don't have those, get a white piece of paper and any other marker you can use. You're going to need a pencil, some crayons, and you're going to need page 247 from chapter 9. If you already did it, that's okay. Just bring it with you and you'll get to review with us. Okay, great. So let's review. We have our clocks and we're telling time by the hour. All right. So we have our analog clock, and our analog clock we know is in the shape of a circle, and it has the numbers starting from 1 and goes all the way to 12, all the way around our circle. And then it has 3 hands, but not like the hands that we have, right? These hands are pointing to all of our numbers. So we have our hour hand, and that's our short hand right here. We have our minute hand, and that's the longer hand. And then we have something called the second hand, and that helps us count the seconds as it's going around our clock. So when we're looking at an analog clock like this, just like our paper plate clocks, we know that when the minute hand is pointing to the 12, and that when our hour hand is pointing to another number, we know that it's telling us an hour. And we know that after we say that number, we say the word o'clock. So this clock right here, what is it telling us? We have our minute hand pointing to the 12 and our hour hand pointing to the 4. So that means it's telling us it is 4 o'clock. So let's write that in down here for us. It is 4 o'clock. Awesome. Okay, so we also have our digital clock, and the digital clock is in the shape of a rectangle. It has 2 sides with numbers on both of it, and right down the middle we have our colon, which is 2 little dots. The left side shows what hour it is, and when there are 2 zeros on the minute side, which is on the right-hand side, we know that we're going to say o'clock after which hour it is. So this one up here, we have the number 10, and then we have 2 zeros, so we know that it's going to be 10 o'clock. Okay, so we talked about our analog clocks and what those look like, and we talked about our digital clocks and what the digital clock looks like. So let's pull up our analog clocks. I have both hands pointing to my 12, my minute hand, and my hour hand. So I know that it's going to say 12 o'clock. And remember, we always say o'clock on the hour. So whether it's 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock or even 8 o'clock, we're always going to say o'clock after the hour. All right, let's do a little test. How about you move the hand so that it says 2 o'clock? Where are the hands going to be? Our minute hand will be on the 12, and our hour hand's going to be pointing to the 2. All right, let's do another one. How about you show me how to do 7 o'clock? Let's check. Our minute hand's still on the 12, but now my hour hand moved, so it's pointing to the number 7. Good. All right, one more. Let's show me 10 o'clock. So here it is. Our minute hand's still up here on our 12, and our hour hand is now pointing to the 10. Good job. Okay, so after our analog clock, we have our digital clock. So I wrote out on my whiteboard what each hour is going to look like. So we have up here 12 o'clock. We have our number 12 on this side showing us the hour. In the middle, we have our 2 dots, our colon, and then at the end, we have our double zeros. And when we see our 2 zeros on the minute side, we know we're going to say o'clock for the hour. So it is 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then we start out over again and go back to 12 o'clock. So telling time is kind of like a pattern. We go around in a circle over and over again. Good. All right. So let me erase my board. If you have your piece of paper, you can make small little rectangles to write your numbers in. If you have your whiteboard, you can do a nice big one right in the middle. Let's draw a rectangle so that we can make our digital clock. I'm going to put my 2 dots in the middle for my colon. And then on the minute side, I'm going to write my 2 zeros because we're only talking about telling time by the hour. So just like this. All right, now I'm going to ask you, show me how you would say on a digital clock that it is 5 o'clock. Let's write it down. So here it is, 5 o'clock. We have 5, dot, dot, our colon, 0, 0. Good. Okay, here's another one for you. Can you show me what 8 o'clock would look like? Here it is. Here's our 8, 0, 0. It's 8 o'clock. Okay, one more. Now let's show how to say 11 o'clock on our digital clock. Here it is. We have the number 11, 11, 0, 0, 11 o'clock on our digital clock. Awesome. Okay, now let's get a little tricky. I'm going to show you a number on our analog clock, and let's see if you can write it on your digital clock. Are you ready? Great, let's go. All right, so I'm going to show you the number. Let's start with an easy one. This is 1 o'clock. How are you going to write it on your digital clock? Here it is. Did you write the same way? Great. All right, let's try another one. I'm going to show you how to do 4 o'clock. So now it's 4 o'clock on my analog clock. How do I write 4 o'clock on my digital clock? Here we are. So we have 4, dot, dot, 0, 0. There's 4 o'clock. Awesome. Let's do one more. Do you know what hour I have now? It's 9 o'clock. Can you show me on your digital clocks? Here it is. 9, 0, 0. It is 9 o'clock. Okay, great, guys. So let's take a look at our math sheet now. We want to make sure we have our name up at the top, and then we're going to look to number 1. So number 1 wants us to draw a picture of an activity you're going to do in the morning time, the afternoon, or the evening. So let's start by doing that. Draw an activity that goes with one of these times of day. Okay, I finished my picture. Here it is. So I have me sleeping, and it's nighttime in my picture. So the last step we needed to do was you needed to circle what time of day it is that your activity is happening. Is it morning time, afternoon, or nighttime? So I made the sky black so that it's nighttime, and that's when I'm sleeping. Great job, guys. Okay, let's look at number 2. For number 2, you're going to need 3 colors. You're going to need a red, a yellow, and a blue. Either use your crayons, your colored pencils, or your markers. Okay, awesome. So it's telling us point to today. Color the box red. So let's think about today. All right, so today is Friday. All right, so let's find Friday on our calendar down here at the end, and we're going to color that one red. Perfect. There's today. It is Friday. And then it wants us to point to yesterday. So yesterday is the day before Friday. So let's point to yesterday. And we need to color that box in yellow. All right, and one more. We need to point to tomorrow. And we're going to color that box in blue. So here's today. Here's yesterday. That means tomorrow is going to be Saturday. Here we are. Good job. Remember, we have 7 days in our week, and at the end of each week, it goes back to the beginning to make our pattern from Sunday to Saturday. Good. All right. So let's take a look at number 3. We have our analog clock, and it says, I go to school at blank o'clock. So what time is it? Let's read it. Our minute hands on the 12, our hour hands on the 9. So what time are we going to school? 9 o'clock, that's right. So let's write the number 9 on our line. Here it is, 9 o'clock. All right, last one. Let's look at number 4. So we have both clocks now. We have our analog clock and our digital clock. We need to match the time of our analog clock to our digital clock. So let's see, our analog clock, both our hour hand and minute hand are pointing to the 12, and our purple digital clock says 12 o'clock, and our orange digital clock says 2 o'clock. So which clock are we going to circle to match 12 o'clock on our analog clock? Great, that's right. Our purple clock right here says 12 o'clock. So let's give it a circle. So how'd we do? Great work, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our math review video. See you next time.